Good evening, everyone. It's Jazz and Frankie. It's the West Ham Irons channel, Sunday evening. Hope everyone is well. Before we get into West Ham United Football Club, it's Remembrance Day today. So, Frankie, anyone from your family, World War One, World War Two, mate?
Yeah, there were. I don't know loads of the stories if I'm honest with you, mate. I was fascinated with the war when I was younger and history at school and so on. And yeah, it puts a bit of things into perspective, really, mate. Do you know what I mean? I know everything's a little bit doom and gloom at the moment when you're a West Ham fan, but let's be honest, mate, we've got it pretty easy. And they went through such unbelievably difficult times, mate. It was you see some of the videos of the real young boys that were having to go onto that front line. It's quite upsetting, mate. So yeah, just good that you can take time out. And one thing that I will say, West Ham always do a really good Remembrance Day presentation. It's one thing that the club does actually get right, to be honest.
I don't know because I didn't go to the game, but I know someone on one of the channels mentioned it wasn't done the way it should have been done, and he's really upset about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't want to mention the name. I'll tell you after the show, but
Okay.
yeah, he mentioned in his kind of one of the fan cams that he wasn't happy about it. It's normally okay, and he said I didn't even do that right. Yeah,
I was
and
quite moved by it. I thought it was all right, but maybe I missed something, mate. Maybe I missed something.
yeah, I'll
So
give you the link. I don't know. Yeah, so you were there yesterday.
yes, mate. Of course, I'm always there,
So,
mate.
so many home games at the moment, every couple of days, 3 in a week. I mean, quickly, before we go on, Remembrance Day, I remember stories. It's my favourite subject at school. I love history. I'm always putting things on about World War One, World War Two, and all other wars. And some people lied that they were 18 when they were 17, 16 to enroll. That's incredible. Again, same as you, mate. I didn't ask my granddad enough questions that time, but what I do know is that he obviously we're Sikhs, and I think he must have been in Burma somewhere. I don't know because we came here because of him. He had vouchers because of service in the British Army. Yeah, I think those. Yeah, in the Burma and jungle and the heat and all of that. But yeah, Remembrance Day puts into perspective. Everyone, respect by Poppy and all those kind of things that we should be doing. And maybe we should remember him more often. I know it comes once a year, but yeah, we all get forgotten in the mad world we live in, running around making money, losing money, all that kind of thing, isn't it, mate? Yeah.
Yeah, it is, mate. If, like I said, we've just really soft as a nation now. Can you imagine people, telling them that they were older to go to war? Most people would do everything they could to get out of it nowadays, mate. We don't have the pride in our country like we used to, which is a real shame, mate. But that's another story.
Yeah. Back
We're very
to
soft, mate. We're very soft.
yeah. Obviously, I did a couple of shows yesterday, and yeah, it kind of was very, very busy. And I just want to relay the message back to our viewers and things. There was a couple of our local lads within the chat that were Moyes in, and that's fine. I always said that's fine, but bit of a argy bargy in the chat, and I had to tell the boys to behave a bit. So yeah, if you whatever views you've got, Moyes in, Moyes out, let's be honest, let's discuss it and just say why, and that's it. We move on, but no need to get personal or ever go at anyone, and that goes for Twitter. And
mate, the point is, we'll all still be here long after David Moyes is no longer with the football club. The fans will always be here, and I think sometimes people forget that, mate. That at the end of the day, ain't about the owners or the manager. It's about us. We are West Ham United, not David Moyes, not David Sullivan. They're here for a short time. We're here for a lifetime. So, as West Ham fans, mate, we will be here. Long after GSB sell up, long after David Moyes goes to wherever he goes to. I recommend retirement, but wherever he wants to go and whatever he wants to do, that's it, mate. Just remember, we're all West Ham, and at the end of the day, regardless of what your viewpoint is, we are all West Ham United, and that's what matters, mate. So
yeah, the worst thing is one of them was obviously follows the channel. You know who you are. I don't have to mention it. And he said, "Oh, Jazz, I love your shows. They're not going to be on anymore because it's all kicking off." And I'm like, I don't know if someone said a go. And I said, "Don't know. That's the last thing we want." And people leaving and that kind of thing. But yeah, it is what it is, mate. Also, congratulations to the England cricket team. They have They are the T20 Cricket World Champions twice, because obviously we won the 50 over one as well, and beat Pakistan in Melbourne, I think, which is 100,000 stadium early this morning. So listen, football is football, but the cricket team is doing fabulous. A lot of you, again, are facts from Trivia Pursuit. Cricket is still officially England's official sport ahead of football. If you look into
Can't
it,
get on with it, mate. I went to one match at the Oval. I lasted. Well, I actually met James Collins there, old Ginger Pele, that day. We was having a beer next to the stadium because the queues were so big. So we all strolled over and we had a couple of pints. And what a gentleman that man is. But yeah, I lasted an hour, I think, and then left. It ain't for me, mate. It's just too dull.
I think it's a great day out because you can bring your own food. There's no security. You can drink and sit down. But yeah, 20 overs isn't too long in the summer. I know Lords and Oval do it after work. It's over in 2 hours. But yeah, it does go on a bit sometimes. So, yeah, if you just want to talk about the game, but I know you mentioned last week that if anyone wanted these 3 fixtures and you're in trouble, it's good fixtures. You know, you're talking about Palace, Blackburn, Leicester, mate. We've lost all 3. So take it away, mate. A lot of empty
one thing
seats,
that I will say, yeah, one thing I will. Do you know what though? That it was definitely a bit busier than it had been. Sorry. I think first Saturday game for ages. I think the fact that also we knew we was going to have a bit of break till the World Cup, I felt like there was a real good atmosphere around the ground. Walking up to the stadium, there was more singing than normal, much more singing than normal. I even said to the little one, I said, like, you know, there's a lot more singing than even he was walking up and singing a few of the songs. And people were really trying to. It didn't quite feel like an end of season game. The end of season games are always like a carnival atmosphere, and around the off license and all that, everyone kicks the balls around up in the air, and everyone has a real good sing song, and it's got a real good vibe to it. But it was halfway there, I'd say. There was a lot of people, you know, few chants and lots of singing, and people were really up for it, mate. People were really, really up for it. Then you get in the ground and trumpet playing for the Remembrance thing, and then a nice big roar before kickoff. Everybody was 100% behind that team yesterday, mate. Really, really behind the team. And actually surprising, even after going 1-0 down, everybody still got behind the team and tried to push them on. It wasn't like when we grumble and people really start to get frustrated and agitated. People were just really behind them, mate. I think you couldn't knock the fans yesterday. I think they really tried to push the team on. And actually, we started the game with a bit more purpose. We actually seemed to trying to be on the front foot, which I've not seen us do that in ages. The first couple of minutes, we were trying to create stuff. We were higher up the pitch. We were pressing a little bit more. And everything felt like it could go our way. And then a couple of minutes later, one thing that we haven't got anywhere in our team, pace. Outdone us with pace down the left-hand side, got in behind, good ball into the box, and surprise, surprise, Maddison pops up and knocks the ball into the net, mate. So, yeah, really frustrating that we seemed like we wanted to have a bit more intent. We seemed like we actually wanted to come out and play a bit of football and try and get at Leicester. And then you turn around and you find yourself 1-0 down. Tough to swallow, mate, I have to say.
Yeah, I obviously was out shopping, but I switched the TV on after 9 minutes. And from then on, it looked like Leicester were the home team. They were keeping possession, passing it sideways, backwards, you know, just trying to quieten down the crowd. And obviously Tony Gale was doing the commentary, and he's just mentioning obviously things like carers, like got to sort himself out. He's always involved in, you know, more goals than often than not, and that kind of thing.
Whenever he plays right back, mate, he gets skinned time and time and time again. The carer right back thing is just a no-no. You know, just got to stop doing it.
I think so. Snazzy Azzy, welcome, mate. Well, I said he should have gone after the Chelsea game. The board have obviously had a meeting last night, and they're keeping him. For me, that's absolutely crazy. You know, we're going to sit 1 month worrying, and the whole month is going to go, and then it looks even silly if they sack him after Arsenal or won a game, 2 games, and you let all that month go. Villa have got their manager in. They won again today. They're 5-6 clear of us. We're one from the bottom three. I don't know what the board's waiting for, you know.
But that narrative, mate, you know, Villa have got that manager. What you just said there, really important point to make. Everyone turns around and goes, "Oh, well, there's no managers out there." Well, Emery wasn't out there, but Villa wanted him. They went and bought out his contract. They got him in, you know. And everyone goes, "Oh, well, there's no managers out there. Who would want to come?" Well, Villa did it. Well, how comes Villa can do it and we can't? Well, I don't understand that opinion, mate. I really don't.
Yeah, I did a show on it 3 weeks ago, and I highlighted Poch on him because I think Emery appeared on the list because he's got less than a year left, so he's available. So you know, to buy him is perhaps a bit less. It's come out. It's 4 or 5 million. That's too much for Sullivan. And obviously, there's 7 or 8 that when I looked at that out of contract, and then you've got people at Brentford, Sporting Lisbon that are in contracts, and like I said, we're up in the top 20 big clubs, you know, so they should come, sell the idea and that kind of thing. If you want to answer this question, mate, he's saying if we don't get rid of him, then we got to keep him. Like, there's no point sacking him in January. Then I don't know.
Well, there will be, mate, because at the end of the day, with the way things are going and with the form that we're on and the points that we're picking up, we'll be relegated. So, you know, I do think it's better to do it now. You know, we haven't got that many players that are going to the World Cup, mate. So we've got a lot of players who will be here, could be drilled. That gives time for the manager to have a look at the players. We've got 2 friendly games during the World Cup, which we're playing Cambridge and we're playing Fulham. So he's got 2 matches where he can actually have a good look at the players before the Premier League resumes. So there's no better time to do it, mate. They should have come out last night. They should have got rid of Moyes and then gone and got the new man in and let him have a look while the World Cup's on. I think it would have made perfect sense. You know, they will leave it late. They always do. I think they feel like there'd be a bit of backlash from people because there's this real Moyes fanboy attitude because he got us to a semi-final of a competition. So what? So, you know, but at the end of the day, if you do go after the World Cup, I still said to you what made me nervous is that I think they'll want to give him 4 or 5 games after Noble starts his position in January to see if that has any sort of impact or any sort of lift. And if that can be the turning point to get Moyes back on track. So I think they won't do it until end of Jan, but you still have to make that call then because, mate, 8 wins in 31 matches is abysmal. And all those people who go, we've got too much quality to go down, have got extremely short memories, mate, because we went down in very similar fashion before when everybody thought we could never go down because the players we had. Absolutely 100% we could go down with the current run of form that we're on. So, no, you will have to still make that call, unfortunately, mate. I think, you know, anyone who says, Moyes is that's his sort of art, isn't it? He sort of gets teams that are in trouble out of trouble. I think we've gone past it, mate. I think it's just gone too stale. I don't think there's any turning back. I don't see it getting any better, mate. I really don't.
No, he's definitely out, and it's going to get worse for the club the longer he carries on. There's no fight in that team, mate. There's no leaders. Zuma's obviously gone off with a niggle. Agard ain't fit. Dawson's on the way out. There's nothing in that back 5, mate, that provides confidence. Souček's well out of form. Kafal's obviously out the team now. Glenn Johnson, I think he's ruined him. He's all over the place at the moment. Jittery. Kero, we spoke about. Downs, just in and out, not quite ready, whatever. Skamaka, bit isolated. Antonio is there, but obviously had to miss yesterday due to some personal issue. Bowen's kind of out of form. There's nothing to write home about, mate.
There's no positives. I see James is in the chat. I will give him a little bit of credit in that, you know, he's always backed Benrahma, and I've never been Benrahma's biggest fan, but I have to say he was the only person out there yesterday who I thought was giving it his all
Yeah.
and trying to make things happen. The other man that I actually felt was all right yesterday and wasn't much behind Ben Rama. And I know he has a defensive mistake in him and that, but I actually thought Cresswell had a decent game again yesterday. I thought he did well. I thought he had for his standards, I thought he had a pretty decent game, mate. So I didn't have a problem with Cresswell yesterday. I saw a lot of people dig him out and a lot of people were calling him out, and he's kind of the first. Him and Souček are the first two to be pulled up for anything, it seems, at the moment. But yeah, Souček, poor game. I thought Cresswell didn't have a bad game. I thought he made some important tackles, some important challenges. I didn't think he was that bad. But yeah, Ben Rama was the only man out there for me, mate, who was really trying to make something happen, really tried to just try and create things. And he was the only bright person out there. It just stunk yesterday of a team of players who didn't want to be there, mate. It's not good.
Yeah, and obviously given a reasonable amount of money in the summer, which we've actually gone worse. And does that mean they're going to give him more money in January? Then you get rid of him end of Jan. Then the new manager's got fixtures like 4th of Feb, away to Newcastle, 11th of Feb, home to Chelsea. That's typical West Ham, isn't it? The manager's going to be under the bus, isn't he, mate? The new one. It's going to be a new one. He always will go. He's definitely going to be gone, mate. Doesn't matter how stubborn the board are. He ain't going to turn this around, and he'll be gone.
Yeah.
And I mean, will they give him more money? He's looking for a second striker now, I heard. I don't know, mate.
Well, I was having that conversation with somebody who is, because you get a lot of these, for whatever reason, in the social media world of West Ham, you get these people who, because you don't have a job in football or whatever, that you don't have a clue about the game. So I was actually talking to someone the other day who is an professional football player with West Ham, and I was talking to him about managers and when things have gone bad in the past. I said to him, look, do things just run their course? Do managers just have a period of time where it's just done, it's just over? And he said yes. He said that's exactly how it is. He said, sometimes, and I think that's it with Moyes. There's this really weird opinion that people have got that there's this transition period that we're going through and players are still settling and blah, 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 blah. I could buy all of that if we were playing a good style of football and everyone still seemed committed to the calls and it was just not going right. It was just unlucky. We weren't quite getting the results or whatever. But the brand of football's abysmal. There's players out there who don't want to be there. The running's gone. We don't run anymore. The dedication and commitment levels have gone. The togetherness is totally gone. Just all round. And that is massive, massive warning signs that, enough's enough. Moyes has run his course. And there ain't going to be no turning it around, mate. That what people are thinking, that this team's just bedding in and next year it will get better and blah, blah, blah. It's just a myth, mate. It's just not going to happen. It's really not going to happen. The whole thing is done. And unless we get a change, the whole club needs freshening up at the moment. We need changes and quickly, mate.
I think so. Welcome, James. I think, the Moyes in brigade are saying the break will do everyone good. That once the players are on the pitch, it's their fault. It's not David Moyes' fault. All these kind of excuses and things, that's fine. It's just really amazes me some of the things I'm hearing and that kind of thing, really.
But even some of Moyes' things that he's coming out with now, mate, like what really wound me up before on Friday night, I watched Moyes' press conference and he was talking about the Blackburn game. And he turned around and said that basically he tried not having to play anyone who's going to the World Cup because it wouldn't be fair on them, playing them in a League Cup game. He said Premier League's different. I have to play him in the Premier League. He said, but it wouldn't have been fair on anyone to have to play a League Cup match when they're going to the World Cup in a couple of weeks. I sat there and thought, you absolute idiot. At the end of the day, you've never won anything in your career. Winning a League Cup would be massive for you. To be honest with you, Moisey, mate, all of us would give anything to win the League Cup, anything to win it. Like, regardless of it being the League Cup, I think we'd all, give anything to win a trophy, no matter what trophy it is. So I just couldn't get that attitude. And if you're going to set up that attitude, like, You've made that precedent on that Wednesday night that if you go into the World Cup, you don't have to play. I shouldn't be playing you because you're all off. Then you roll into Saturday and they're already checked out mentally, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's like their heads are already on the plane. So I was always worried about how he was going to play on Saturday, mate. I just don't get Moyes' mindset. I don't get his mentality at the moment. I don't get his attitude towards the fans. Then he comes out after the press conference from yesterday and turns around and says, they asked him the question, did you see everyone leaving early? He said, I did. He said, but what West Ham fans, the problem with West Ham fans at the moment is that we're used to European semi-finals now. That's what we're used to. We've had one in like the last 30 odd years or whatever it is. We're used to European semi-finals. We're used to massive games. So games like that, you know, it's not interesting to the fans anymore. And now things are getting tough in the league. Basically, we're turning our backs on the team and turning our backs on the manager and blah, blah, blah. We're used to success this geezer's going on about. The geezer's lost the plot. He's absolutely gone loopy. And yeah, we just need to get him out as quickly as possible, mate.
How many Moyes in people do you know, like in around the ground or people you know?
I don't know any Moyes in people, mate. None. The only people I see that are Moyes in are Twitter people.
I know a few channels, but I'm not mentioning any names.
No, and you're right. There are a few channels actually as well. It's all just, mate, there was this Spaces that these people are talking about. And I had to leave after 2 minutes. I couldn't listen to it. It was
I don't know. I know what it is, but I'm not really involved in any of it.
It was drivel, mate. As soon as someone turned around and went, you know, we're losing, but we're not losing by that much. Mate, there's no extra points for only losing 1-0. Like, at the end of the day, a loss is a loss. Like, that's it. And the point is, we've only won 8 league games out of 31. That is abysmal, mate. And people are still trying to justify it. And, oh, we are losing, but we're not losing that bad. As soon as I heard that, I went, I've got to leave this thing because you're all absolute, you've lost it.
I think I joined it because I was a bit like, what is this? And I left after a minute. It's a bunch of weirdos in there, and it was all quiet. The good guys set it up. And the ones in it didn't know what they're on about. But 58 seconds I lasted. I'm like, all right, I know what it's about. I'm out of it, mate. Bloody hell. Okay, so James, yeah, if you want to come on, I'll give you the link. So it looks like something kicked off last night. I don't know how much longer. Yeah, mate, I am astounded that it's going on and on and on. Like I said, I'm not the second or first high shareholder. It's not my value going down in the club, mate. And I know that they've got away with it, Frankie, last couple of times, haven't they? Nearly going down and making, you know, somehow Moyes rescuing it. And yeah,
that's a great comment from Gary there. I don't think anybody understands that 8 wins in 9 can get you relegated. Like, it's that bad. Like, it's not, we're just going to go through this, we'll do enough to stay up, and then next season go again. Like, dangerous way of thinking, mate, I tell you, because the form that we're in, we can't beat anybody. Nottingham Forest went and beat Palace yesterday, mate, and Palace came and rolled us. It's just, yeah, we're in dire straits, mate. We're in big trouble. And don't for 1 second think we're too good to go down, because that's the worst mentality you can have.
Yeah, we're 5 off 10th. We're kind of 1 point off the bottom 3. Forest, we lost to Forest. We drew Southampton, beat Wolves, lost to Everton. So out of the bottom 3, we won 1 and couldn't beat the other 3. And it doesn't look good. Mate,
when you look at those 8 wins in the last 31 league games as well, when you actually look at the teams we've beat, a relegated Norwich, some newly promoted teams, we've not beaten anyone, mate. Any live team, any team that's got anything about them at the moment, come and beat us. It's just abysmal, mate. It really is.
That's a great point, mate. Happy. I don't know what system we're playing. I don't know what we're doing. I see on the ground. I look at the lineups on some apps, and when I'm watching, I don't know what it is, mate. I don't know what we're trying to do. Width, one touch. Are we trying to?
There's a great video, mate, going around on Twitter, which is it shows you that Scamacca was used as a lone striker for Sassuolo in the same similar formation that West Ham have got, but the difference is Scamacca, they played higher up the pitch. The midfield was higher up the pitch. It got Scamacca more touches on the ball. It got Scamacca more touches in the box. Wide players come inside and got closer to Scamacca. He literally showed you this, how the two different teams played, Sassuolo versus West Ham. And we are isolating Scamacca terribly, mate, terribly. So it's not, a lot of people are moaning or having opinions on formations and so on. It's not the formation. It's how you're playing within that formation that's the problem at the moment. We are just not getting anyone anywhere near close enough to Scamacca. It's actually criminal what we're doing to Scamacca at the moment. And we all said this is going to be a Haller Mark II. And who was it? Di Canio who come out when we signed Scamacca. Di Canio came out and made a statement and said, "Mark, take it. I don't think he'll actually work out because, mark my words, if you use him how you used Haller, you'll end up with exactly the same situation." Di Canio called it, mate, and that's exactly the position we're in.
Victor, I love you, mate, but why should we wait for him to lose another 3 in a row after? What about if he gets one draw? What are you going to do then? No, he's got to go, mate. He's got to go. Come on, come on. He's got to go. There's a naughty boy, naughty boy.
What's occurring, man?
What happened last night, my man? What happened last night?
It went tonight. It was today.
Oh,
yeah. There's a lot of people out there, mate, who are fucking. I'm just sorting my camera out. Listen, not good, is it? First thing I ask both of yous: are you being entertained as fans? And the answer to that is no.
No, I don't go to watch games at the ground. I'll go to have a chat with Frankie and do other silly stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're not being entertained, the first thing you do when you go to a football match, you want to be entertained by your team. And we're not being entertained as fans at the minute. Listen, I've had many debates. I had people on the other week on my channel, like subscribers, come on and at their opinions. But people are wearing thin. Now, it's getting to a stage where people are basically having enough and saying this is not acceptable. And there's a stat, I don't know whether this is true or not, but West Ham have won 11 games in 2022.
Yeah, calendar year is terrible, mate. Terrible.
And that's, I fear, I'm not being funny, I think, for £163 million of net spend, and people say, oh, we've got to gel these players together. We ain't got time to wait around for these players. And that's down to the managers. Scamacca, Paqueta, Kira, they haven't become bad players overnight, not in my opinion.
I mean, Paqueta, Scamacca, we certainly know a lot about them. Emerson, I'm a bit on the fence because he's 28 and he's never really broke through into Chelsea's team. Kera was a wonder kid at 33 million, and then don't know what his best position is. A bit not sure about that one. I love Cornet, as you know. I stick my head out. I love him, but he's obviously got issues back after the World Cup. But listen, to let this whole month go, James, and not bring anyone in like Villa are doing with Emery, he's going to be ready for the window when it opens, mate. Villa have actually sent scouts to watch Rice. I found out.
I'm worried, mate. I'm worried. I'm not even going to lie. This is the perfect moment. If you don't sack him now, you're not sacking him. It's as simple as that. If you don't sack him now, get him out the door, get someone in. Listen, we can attract good managers. I was listening to what Frankie was saying, and I make Frankie 100% right. If Unai Emery can go to Villa, then West Ham can attract someone of that ilk. Do you know what I'm saying? And don't forget Wolves. Wolves have got the ex-Seville manager going into their gaff. So for me, let's be honest, they've got you can get these players in, you can get these managers in. So I think if they don't sack him now, we've got to put up with him for the rest of the season, and I am worried.
I am surprised, James. Yeah, I'm surprised both of you. I would have kind of understood if Sullivan Gold were there. I know the way they bloody think, but with Kotensky, there's a young businessman with that you should have a good head for business, have that strict side to yourself. How's he taking all that? I don't understand. He was there at the Blackburn game. I
think he's the one who's saying that this is not right, and I think it's GSB who are saying different. That's what I do think. I think Kadinsky's having his say on this because he can't be impressed. Let's be honest. £163 million net spend for the summer, and we're playing worse than we did last year. He's got to be in that ballroom going, something's not right. So if you can't sack all the players, And I don't think it is the players. I think it's a lot of things. I think Moyes plays this possession-based football that West Ham are not good at and never have been good at, like holding the ball and controlling the ball. He's never done it in his career. Someone said that to me the other day. I'll make him 100% right. In the whole of David Moyes' career, wherever he's been, he's never been that sort of possession-based manager because he's known for being Dithering Dave for a reason, because his tactics are bad. And there's just a few things, really. The Souček thing, whether you like Souček or not, he shouldn't be playing. Bowen's been awful this year. I see someone in the chat say about Bowen. There's a lot of problems,
It's
mate.
nothing. Make it easier for you, James. There's nothing right. Even Rice, his high standards is a little bit below that. There's nothing right, and he is one of the oldest managers left. It is changing times. We need to freshen out, bring someone young in, and going back to Sullivan, it looks like a lot of the money spent in the summer was Kretensky, so maybe Sullivan doesn't give a shit. And then Sullivan's got his share option price fixed, so he's not worried if we go down, whether it affects it or not, I don't know. But it's just like, yeah, they're all quiet board level. They don't even show you on the cameras if they're in the ground or not, I don't know. But the Brady, God, no one even mentions them three anymore. They're completely vanished into I don't know where. But he's got to go, mate. He's got to go, but it is worrying how he hasn't gone. I thought he was going to go last night. I'm fucking shocked how he's still there. And what are they waiting for? I mean, Blackburn came with a second-string team and rolled us over. And look at the draw Blackburn got, both of you, home to Forest. And all the big teams are gone nearly. And I'm like, oh, my God, no wonder we just kick ourselves in the foot year after year in terms of winning something. And looks like that conference is kind of covering a lot of the cracks, but everyone understands now the Conference League is a fairly weak competition, isn't it? Really, we got to keep the league bread and butter separate from the cup. Yeah. For
me, I don't know about you lads, but I think Europe's papered over the cracks for the last 12 months massively.
It has 100%.
Like 100%. When people look at the league, they look at the Europa League. Everyone was going, right, fuck the league off last year. We will continue to do this and go for the Europa League. Yeah, well, don't get me wrong. We had a good journey on the Europa League, but we have got to get it right that we only got to a semi-final. we didn't win the thing, or we didn't get to the final. So for me, we had a good run. It didn't work out. So I was expecting this year to be at least in the top 10, and we are nowhere near a top 10 side at the minute. Not a chance. And it's not good, Jazz and Frankie. I'll be honest, it ain't.
We're 5 off 10th from everyone. We're 5 off 10th, and yeah, we're closest to the bottom 3. And I was saying earlier on, we've lost to most of the teams in the bottom 4 or 5, apart from Wolves anyway, I think. And Arsenal away is the first fixture when we're back, and then February is Newcastle, Chelsea coming up, and
we've got a tough run coming, mate. Yeah, a very tough run. We've had our easy spell. And things are only going to get tougher now, mate. And, God forbid that anything happens to any of our big players during that World Cup, any injuries, because if Rice goes and gets injured or something like that, it would be devastation for us. But, James is right. At the end of the day, I've been saying this to loads of people all the time, and it's not just results. If we were, like I said, if we were transitioning and Paqueta weren't quite getting up to speed with the Premier League yet, and Scamacca was showing signs that he's going to come good, and all of this stuff, then you'd take it on the chin and say, look, but it's not. It is the worst brand of football that I've seen at West Ham for a long time. It's dull, it's boring, it's slow, it's just everything about it. And mate, kids are a beautiful thing, mate, because they don't have any of this learnt mentality over however many years and whatever. My boy come out the ground yesterday, went, Dad, how many games do we have to lose until we can support another team? And I was like, I was like, no matter how many games we lose, we always support West Ham. I said, even if we get relegated, we support West Ham. But that's even his mentality. Even he's getting fed up with losing all the time, of sitting there. He loves football. He'll watch any game of football on the telly. We get in from going West Ham. If there's an evening game on, he comes straight in and he sits in front of the telly and watches the evening game. He's 4 years old, but he loves it. But even he's going now, and halfway through the match yesterday, he went, Dad, how long's it till full time? And it's just like, he is so bored. Kids want to see goals. They want to see attacking players. They want to see exciting players. They want to see and we're just not getting it. The whole brand of football at West Ham at the moment is just, it's a tough watch. It's so boring. And I've just come to the point where I've just had enough of it, mate. It's as simple as that.
Frankie, if you want to answer this cross-hammer, I think you always felt that the Stuart Pearce leaving was a big changing point, don't you, mate? So obviously backroom team staff after Pearcey. Nolan's gone all quiet. Set pieces are shit. Corners are shit. Free kicks are crap. I mean, Benrahma's got a couple in, but corners especially are never beat the first man.
We called it, mate, didn't we? We said at the beginning of the season, we said, you know, these influences, losing Noble, Pearce, why did Pearce leave? I know everyone makes up it's these personal reasons and everything else. Mate, there's a lot of weird things that have gone on behind the scenes, and it all unravelled at that Christmas last year, you know, January transfer window. Apparently, you know, Noble and Rice are trying to get hold of Moyes on deadline day to find out why we've not been bringing any players in, because we thought we're all sitting there, you know, progressing in Europe, still holding a good position in the Premier League, and we're all sitting there thinking, go and make it happen. You know, if we'd have bought a striker in, if we'd have bought in some players at that moment in time, you know, who knows what could have happened. We could have been sitting here, you know, with a European trophy under our belt and in the Champions League. But something went on. Souček's contract negotiations broke down. Everything behind the scenes for what should have been a really good time for the club. It should have been exciting times, good times. Things just started to be a bit odd, mate. And then Irvine leaves, and then Pearcey walks, and you're sitting here thinking maybe things behind the scenes are not as rosy as we all think. Premier League form just disappears and falls off a cliff, and just because we're in that European competition, everyone is accepting it. But you know, at the end of the day, now this is the problem with our fans, mate. Everyone's getting excited that we've beat a few minnows in the Conference League and think that was good. And the only team unbeaten still, or to have won all their games in Europe and blah, blah, blah. Who gives a toss, mate? At the end of the day, it's a two-bob competition. Yes, I'd love to win it. I'd love to win anything as a West Ham fan. But we were all making out, you know, and we're so easily pleased as West Ham fans these days. We're so soft. And this, how we're backing Moyes at the moment is just beyond me. And, you know, we've just got to realise and wake up.
I think it's more sentimental for a lot of people, which I totally disagree with. Listen, David Moyes is an employee at West Ham United Football Club. He's paid to do a job. He gets paid very, very well. Let's all remember that. But at the minute, he's not doing his job to the best of his abilities with the tools that he's got at his disposal. Far from it. I agree with you, Frankie. It's not good. It's not good. And I do agree with you about January, because I sat there and I was going mad. I was going, well, what's going on? I was doing spaces, and people are very mixed. You've got the younger fans who are very sort of with Moyes because of what he's done the last 2 years. The older fans like us have all seen this thing one or too many times. Yeah.
Seen it before, mate. We've all seen it before.
And the way I look at this is 20 years ago, and I say it on my channel regularly, 20 years ago, we went down and with a team that was very, very good. And this state of we're never too good to go down should remain like that, because West Ham are never too good to go down. Like, do you know what I mean? To go down 20 years ago with 42 points, with really, really good players in our team, says it all. I'm not saying West Ham will go down this year, but the way we are carrying on, if we don't address this issue or this problem that we've got, and I do think Stuart Pearce and Irvine done a lot more than people make out that they did. Yeah. I think Moyes gets a lot of credit for other people's work. So
you're spot on, mate. And we said it all before. I've said it on this channel millions of times. At the end of the day, Moyes was one loss away from having the worst record in our club's history. He brings in Pearce, Irvine, Nevin. He brings in international level coaching staff, and it all turns around. Now all of his mates are leaving him behind, and he's on his own again. He can't win football matches anymore. That's not a coincidence. That is just it just shows you how absolutely true it is that it was the team around him that came together to get West Ham United wins, and now that team is depleted. We can't win football matches anymore. It's as simple as that. Moyes on his own is just a nightmare. And I know people go, well, give him respect for bringing those people in. I don't know what's happened. You know, those people have gone out the door. Who's the guy who's Warburton has popped up out of nowhere. I don't believe Moyes wanted him as the man. He didn't seem like it. When Moyes didn't come out and go, "This is my mate," like he does with Stuart Pearce, and go, "This is the team." The kind of communication from Moyes about Warburton was different. It was almost like this man's been given to me. I don't understand where he come from,
especially with his championship background and all.
Yeah, it was all very strange.
Like
very strange.
The championship background of the man. Like this is a manager who's managed QPR, Brentford, Rangers. He's managed all them clubs, and he's always been a lower end sort of manager. Like so, for him to go into a sort of role at West Ham, which he's doing, doesn't make no sense. I do agree. I really do.
Yeah, it was very. And Richard just said there, the way Warburton came in proved Moyes was a yes man. It's absolutely true. You know, they've sort of thrown this geezer at him, and it just don't sit right with me. And this is what I'm saying. We saw this unraveling, and there was comments in this, but you know, problems started before Pearce. I agree, but I think the problems started that caused Pearce to leave because Pearce was like, whatever's gone on, whether it be the lack of investment in the January window or not, I don't know. But, you know, something didn't sit right. People going out the door, players form in that sort of period of time just dropped off a cliff. Like Souček was the man up until that point. And all of a sudden, contract talks break down. He suddenly is, you know, he's gone from hammer of the year to can't even kick a ball. Well, he was never the great technical player anyway, but he did have energy, commitment, work rate. His form fell off a cliff. Soufal's form's fallen off a cliff. We don't run no more. We don't press. David Moyes, the one thing that I gave him, which I always agreed with and felt like he had exactly right, was he used to turn around and say, if you don't run, you don't play. And he had that attitude that at the very least, my team, you have to run. And that's gone. Like nobody's running anymore. And that whole attitude that Moyes used to have has just vanished. We're so, I mean, I watched Newcastle last night, mate. They were like just possessed. They didn't stop running and pressing and closing the ball down right until the very, very last minute. They were absolutely just fantastic. You know, this isn't anything new. The football hasn't changed. This brand of football. I know people are saying now Moyes is playing more possession based and this and that. I actually think there's not a lot of difference between the football we used to play last season to this season. But I just feel what we used to have was desire, commitment, work rate, energy, and togetherness. And that's all vanished. And you saw it the other night, and people didn't understand what point I was trying to make here. But I posted a picture of the West Ham squad during the penalties against Blackburn. Every other team, even when we played that, when Adrian scored that goal against Everton, all the West Ham players arm in arm, all the Everton players arm in arm. The other night, all the West Ham players, loads of space between them, hands on there, they got their arms folded. One of them was looking away. It just looked like a disjointed, completely team that just were not together. And that's how it seems on the pitch. It's just that togetherness and heart and passion that they had last year has just vanished. And I don't know what's caused it, mate.
I'm going to say something controversial, as I always bloody do. Looking at that first half after we went 1-0 down, I can remember 6 chances and it keeps happening every game, just not shooting properly, getting it taken off you, side netting. And we'll never know, but I'm sure the unwritten rule out there is that when you want a manager out, yeah, it looks like you're trying. I don't think they're as bad as what they think they are. I think they just want him out, mate. I mean, you can't, like Bowen, side netting, you're clean through, keeps tripping over. Yesterday, Paqueta was all over the place. And I think they're trying to get him out now, I think. Whatever, they're just fed up with the message. And next manager in, they'll win the next game fucking 3-0, mate. I just think they've had enough of him, personally, I think. You can't keep missing that many chances, James, in the game, what we're doing. You know,
mate. I know. Listen, you ain't got to tell me, mate. I watched the game yesterday from start to finish. And listen, I respect anyone who goes over there. I really do. Even though I don't go over there, and I won't go over there till the owners are gone. But I respect any man, woman, and child who go over there. But for me, I'm looking at them yesterday, and they look. I agree with what Frankie's saying. They look disjointed. They don't look like together. They're not fighting for the shirt. They're not fighting for each other. There is something happened in there that we don't know about. But what we do know as fans is we can see it on the pitch that it just doesn't look right. They just don't look together. And listen, I've backed Saeed Benrahma up from the start, and he's the only one who looks like he's trying to save Moyes' job, which is ironic for me. He really is. Like yesterday, he was the only one who seemed like he wanted to try, and the others just don't. Like Paqueta's not a bad player, Scamacca's not a bad player, but they come to West Ham, they automatically become bad players. And that
I feel sorry for Scamacca, I do, mate. I feel really, really sorry for him. I feel sorry for him as much as I felt sorry for Haller. I think both of them any player who's like that who comes to West Ham, we just absolutely ruin them as footballers, mate. It's such a shame. And Scamacca, he's got that. I love the bite about him. He loves leaving a footing on someone at the beginning of the game to try and get everybody up for it and to try and let people know he's there. And he's a proper good old-fashioned centre forward, and we're just not making the most of him. And it's such a shame because we've been so desperate for a good striker at West Ham for so long. We've got one in Scamacca, and we haven't got a clue how to get the best out of him. And yeah, he looks like a man. He looks like Haller did, mate. Dejected. He looks like frustrated. He looks like he's just completely and utterly.
He looks lost. He looks lost.
Yeah. But do you know what? He is, because he is just in space on his own. The ball never gets played into his feet. He has to come so deep to try and get the ball. And when he does get the ball, there's no one far enough up the pitch for him to feed off onto. Yeah. It is a real shame how he's being used. I hate to say it, and I really do hate to say it, but in the system that Moyes has, as much as I used to moan that Antonio was never an out-and-out striker and shouldn't be the number 9 for West Ham, mate, he suits Moyes' football so much better than Scamacca does. I think if Antonio's fit, if Moyes is going to keep playing the same way he has, I'm afraid Antonio has to play more, because
I don't know about you lads, but also like the team personnel this season. Like when I look at the team personnel, I look at Flynn Downs, for instance, as an example. I like Flynn. I think he's one of us. Flynn, he's a West Ham lad. He loves West Ham, and every time he goes on the pitch, he gives it 100% because he loves the club. And he should be starting games ahead of Souček. Even though Souček, you either like Souček or you don't, Souček has been an issue this year, and has been done over so many times. But I look at the personnel that Moyes is picking, and I think, Moyes, what are you seeing? Like, what really are you seeing? Like, to go and pick the same lineup from the Crystal Palace game last week, and then you play Leicester a week later, and you're picking the same lineup again. And listen, I'm not Pablo Fornals' biggest fan, but I think he could have come in and done something yesterday, right? I think he deserves to play. I think it's just stubbornness from Moyes, and I think that's going to be his downfall in the end, mate.
I think a couple of points to consider is that, especially Antonio on the podcast saying we are told to defend until the 80th minute. Don't let in more than a goal, and then that we can see. And I think that's one of the key reasons why the players are put their tools down. Really, they don't want to play that way anymore. You remember Reich's frustration in the big 6 games when all these mates are playing for the other team, and he's like, it's like they got cufflinks on. They can't go out there. I saw the Spurs game live at home. I was going nuts. I had to leave after 40 minutes, go downstairs. We just were not attacking Spurs. We're waiting for them to come onto us. I'm like, why are you doing this? Spurs are shitting it, They get nervous playing us, get at them. I think that's the key thing. And the other thing not to forget is, obviously, Sullivan talks a lot of shit, but the reason we bought too many players this summer is down to Moyes. He didn't buy anyone in the 2 windows before. Sullivan had to come out. I know he talks a lot of shit. He's like, listen, we've given him list after list. He puts a list in the bin. He don't want anyone. What could we do? And then he's bought 9. And Moyes said, both of you, that, it's too many. I didn't want that many. Fucking hell, mate. 8 people have left the club. And 9 people contracts are coming out in June 2023 and a few more in June 2024. It's his own fucking mess. He's done it to himself, mate. No one else to blame. You know that. No one else.
I don't know, Jazz. I don't know about sort of the signings, because I look at people like Jared Bowen, for instance, and he's a shadow of the man he was last year. Do you know what I mean? Even Zuma's been good this year in moments, but not all the time. I do agree on certain aspects.
No, I mean, last winter we didn't buy anyone.
Yeah.
Didn't buy anyone, and we needed those players against Eintracht Frankfurt. If you remember, we needed a left back then. We needed Antonio back up then. The season before, Rice got injured, and we missed out Champions League by 2 points because we had no one to come in for him. He's fucking don't learn, mate. And then he's bought 9, and he's complaining, "Oh, I didn't want that many." I'm like, "Fucking hell, mate, you done it to yourself."
Yeah, it's. I do fear. If you want me to be honest, I do really fear for where we're heading. If I'm being honest, like I look at us now, this is the perfect moment. And let's be honest, if we didn't have a break, I don't know where West Ham would change. If I'm being open about that, I'm glad that this World Cup's here now because we can sort of sit back and go right, halt everything, stop everything, and I'm trying to assess what's going on. Like. Moyes is negative. Like if you look at his last 6 games against the top 6 sides in home or away, it's always been like a 1-0 defeat, 1-0 defeat or 2-1, or it's always been something where we've just been defending mainly. Where like we're just not good against them sides, and if we can't beat Crystal Palace at home and Leicester at home, then who can we beat?
A lot of defenders against the Blackburn lineup. Remember, we set up defensively against a very poor Villa team. We luckily won because the 4-0s ricocheted. There's one game where he played 3 CDMs and he crossed the middle and 5 at the back. Doesn't really help himself. Looks like he's going to be. I don't know if he's going to be given any money in January. But it's doing all the things wrong.
I don't think he does, mate. How can you go and give someone
a penny, will he?
I think he gets a couple of loans at best. Like,
he won't be given nothing, will he?
Nah, I can't because for financial fair play as well as that. Like, because West Ham can't go and spend another 60, 70 million in the January window.
I mean, Frankie, take it away. Then we'll close off in the next 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll talk about potential managers quickly that people want to talk about. I think,
Somebody just messaged me. Well, I say somebody. It was my dad. Just messaged me as well. He said, "While you're online, can you also discuss?" How Moyes thought it was a good idea to change Souček, who was keeping Barnes quiet for 4 nows. Then a few minutes later, Barnes runs through and scores. Moyes' masterpiece. I thought that was such an odd substitution. 4 nows for Souček didn't make any sense. If anybody, it had to be Downs. I just can't understand why you would change Souček for 4 nows. It made no sense to me. And ultimately, that then killed the game off for us because I think we didn't adapt tactically. Like you said, Barnes, who was being marked by Souček, then has a free run. 4 nows, little mistake, and then they run through and it's 2-0 and game over. Even Moyes' in-game management is suspect. It's always been suspect, but it seems to be getting worse, mate. I don't understand the changes that he makes.
Newcastle are saying, both of you, that we finished 6th 2 years ago, 7th last year. Since that period, we've fallen behind the ranks of Arsenal, Spurs. Liverpool, United are outside the top 4. Newcastle have jumped over us. Villa are going to jump over us. We're just going to be shaking hands with Everton, and they've got new ground next year. Chelsea are going to be moving to new ground in Earls Court, ladies and gentlemen. That's the news coming through. So we are kind of falling, 10th or 5. Yeah, I mean, we're lucky to finish top 10 at the moment. In terms of potential managers, both of you, anyone out there that you fancy?
Sporting Lisbon manager for me.
Yeah, okay.
100%. I can't pronounce his name, Jazz. I won't lie to you, but I've seen this geezer at Sporting Lisbon. He's 37 years old, very, very good, tactically very good, develops players very well. There's a young lad over there who they've signed from another Portuguese side who's an ex-Tottenham youth player, Marcus Edwards. I'll be honest, I like the Sporting Lisbon manager, and he would be the one for me if I could pick one.
Yeah, I'll speak to my good friend who lives out there, season ticket holder at Sporting Lisbon. So I'll kind of ask him, see how he feels about that. So Sporting Lisbon, I've got a good friend now saying Frankie, so I'll talk to him tomorrow about him. I think what's happening, especially with Benrahma, Moyes is, due to the fans' outrage of what happened to him, I think he's lost it now. He's just making decisions because maybe someone in the board or the fans are pressurizing him to play a couple of players. It's just too little too late, I think, from him. And it's it's a lot for him to turn it around, and the players have just don't want to play for him anymore. It's just all over the place, I think, really. Frankie, any manager you like out there, mate? Anyone? A lot of people like the Brentford manager, and I don't know. Yeah.
Not for me, mate. It's
Yeah.
just, it's hard, isn't it? Like, but at the end of the day, you know, people put that on you all the time. Just because you think Moyes ain't the right man for the job, everyone thinks that you've got to be the person who has the perfect answer. I don't get paid to go and find the next manager.
Yeah,
mate.
exactly.
It ain't my job to do that. But what I do know is Moyes ain't the right man. And like we say, we can't take this risk of this whole, you know, we're too good to go down rubbish. A change needs to be made. It's gone stale. The brand of football is awful. It's terrible to watch. We need a change up. Who comes in? Don't know. Not paid to do that job. There'll be somebody who's far better qualified to go and find the right man for West Ham than I am. Unfortunately, the people that are probably going to be doing that for us is going to be David Sullivan. So he's not. Don't fill me with loads of confidence that he will find the right man, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, a few people think Scott Parker. He just got to do a bit more for me before he comes to us. Just because he played for us, I mean, you've got to do a bit more for me. Not sure about him. Obviously, we'll play good brand of football, respected, but yeah, I don't know.
I think you've got to go out. If you're going to get rid of Moyes, right now, I can understand it. Like, you have to pick a decent manager. Like, you can't go for a lower end manager like a Parker who's inexperienced. And let's be honest, he got sacked from Bournemouth. And like, it just didn't work out there for him. Now, for me, if West Ham are a big club, and I keep hearing this on the spaces, and Frankie's probably heard it on the space also, with a lot of the fans turn around and say, West Ham ain't a big club. I've never known a fan base to have 60,000 in there for a League Cup first round game, like travel everywhere, literally in thousands, right, like an army. So West Ham do have West Ham have got a big club mentality, but I think a lot of the fans haven't. I think they just accept, and what's saying Frankie said earlier on, I make 100% right. They just accept it. Like they're so accepting as a fan base to go, you know what, this is the best it's going to be. For me, we have to go out for a top end manager, someone who's in the next 5 years is going to be one of the best. Now, for me, the Sporting Lisbon manager would be up there. I don't think he's going to be at Sporting for very long. I think he's an excellent manager. You could say Pochettino, you could say Tuchel, you can say all these other names. But I do look at Villa, I do look at Wolves, and they've just gone and got two managers who know how to win the Europa League very well. One with Seville, another one with Villarreal. So West Ham need to be bigger than what we think they are. And I believe West Ham are bigger than that.
I think it's the ownership, the organisation in the back. It's not good enough. I think we're easily in the top 20 biggest club in the world. If you look all of it, the revenue, the attendances, top 15 used to be. I don't know if we're still there or thereabouts. Obviously, Newcastle, you're going to jump above us now, and Villa and people like that. But we did spend a reasonable amount of money in the summer, but it looks like, well, at the moment, all of them, don't quite look up for it. I don't know why we look worse after spending all that money. I definitely believe we are a big club. But the worry is, mate, after Newcastle, like we used to be City, Newcastle, West Ham, Villa, biggest, most passionate fans, don't win anything. And two of them, Chelsea, they've left us now. Just us and Everton now. Even Everton won the league in the 80s. We're going to be the only ones left now from history that have just gone in reverse gear, mate. You know, it's just like, it isn't good. Closing comments from you, Frankie, my man. Where we go, mate? I mean, you think February is going to be a change? I mean, too little, too late, mate. Too little, too late. February. Yeah.
Nah, for me, you know, it's well, I've been like it for a while, mate. We all have. We could all see it ain't going to get any better, mate. And that's the point. It isn't going to get any better, is it? It's you know, it's only downhill from here unless we have massive change, mate. We need a big change. But you know, like people have said in the comments, mate, on the manager side of things, you know, Villa have gone and found a really good manager. Wolves have gone and found a really good manager. You don't have to be a trophy winning top 6 like club to get a good manager. You know, we should be able to pay a manager really well. You know, we've got world-class players in the team now, top internationals. You know, we've got a big stadium. We're in London. We've got so much going for us, mate. I just wish we'd actually realise it. I wish we'd actually realise what we're all about and actually go and show a bit of intent. And I even saw someone earlier on go, you know, we did sign a top manager, Pellegrini. And I was just like, Pellegrini was never a top manager. He was semi-retired in China. I know he's doing all right in that Spanish league now, but you know, the only thing he actually achieved was losing the league to Leicester while he was Man City manager. He wasn't a top manager. That is my only reservation about, not reservation. I still think, regardless of who comes in and how wrong we'll get it, because West Ham always get recruiting a manager wrong. I just still think that no matter what, change is just absolutely drastically needed, mate, because the worst thing about it is all those other teams that were below us have all started picking up points, mate. They've all started getting results. Everyone around us is starting to find a little bit of form, and we're the ones massively on the downhill, mate. So I don't know. For me, it just made perfect sense last night for Moyes to go, use this period as a little mini pre-season. We've got a couple of, you know, friendly games while the World Cup's on, for the manager to have a good look at the team and the players, and to basically try and drill into them some of the ways that he wants to play football. It all just made sense. And somebody just said again, Kretinsky won't stand for this. I really thought Kretinsky would be putting his foot down and saying, this ain't good enough.
Yeah.
My investment that I'm making needs to be protected. And, you know, I ain't risking us potentially going into the... We know what it's like, mate. When you get caught in that relegation zone, it's hard to get out of it, mate. Once you go in there, you'll get a win, but everyone else gets a win, and you don't get out. You get stuck in there, and it's an awful place to be. I think James is spot on. I think it's the younger fan that is staying so loyal because they've never been through it. They don't remember it like we do. Yeah. We remember having Cole and Defoe and, you know, having top players and still managing to go down. You know, it's for me, it's just the right moment just to say thank you very much, Mr. Moyes. But, you know, you've stabilised the club, and that was great. But we need something more now. And
I think we went down with the highest points, both of you. I think it's one of the highest points.
42.
Yeah.
It was the first team to go down over 40 points, weren't we?
Yeah.
So, Birmingham, wasn't it? That bloody last game, Birmingham, I think. Yeah.
2-2, yeah.
Mr. Mace, your earlier comment on the tin corned beef. A lot of people like corned beef, my man. Right. I mean, listen, it's so bad that I don't even talk about man of the match, mate. I'm just not interested. I don't care. I talk
well,
about
there was one, and it is Ben Rama, mate. And while James is here, I have to eat a bit of humble pie there. That at the moment he is the only man around us that is showing even a bit of fight for the cause. I felt like he was the only man, and it's so ironic that, you know, he's the one that sort of Moyes has turned his back on and mistreated and not been very fair to over all this time, and he's the one who's still fighting to try and to try and save us, really, and from this bad bit of form. So yeah, it's funny, isn't it, really?
Last question. If we've got limited funds for January, there's a risk that he could sell Ben Rama in the winter to get money in because we don't like him. There could be a risk because I know another manager could get so much more out of Ben Rama, would be a lot happier. And again, no, he doesn't put his arm around people. That's what Ben Rama needs. He doesn't manage people. So
I don't think he can at the minute, mate. I think what it is, as I say, like with Benny, you either like him or you don't. It's like the Marmite. He's the player for you or he's not the player for you. It is funny that he is the only one really giving it a go at the minute. And I'm looking at other players like Jared Bowen, and I like Jared, don't get me wrong, but fuck me, he's on the edge of a cliff. But I just look at it now with regards to the January window. I think the next 3 games, if he is not sacked within the next week, the next 3 games decide his fate for me. They would have to, because they will have to do something in January. I don't think they can't allow this to carry on and on and on, and then it'd be 19 games, 20 games, and we're still struggling. I've looked at the fixtures, and that January fixture list is awful. Like, is it Wolves away, Leeds away? And I think you've got Newcastle at the back end of that away, and you've got Chelsea at home. So it's not looking good, and I just feel that if the board have got anything about them and they care, they should look at this. Kadinsky's probably saying his bit, because I agree, you don't put a lot of money in if you're not happy, and they've got to make a decision and they've got to back it, really.
Yeah. I'm concerned about Paqueta. Very, very concerned about what I saw yesterday, but I do believe that to put their tools down. They're down it. They're doing it deliberately. I can't believe that every single player for the door is playing like that. I can't believe that. And Bowen and people like that. You just need a new manager, and we'll win the next game fucking 4-0. Frankie, who was singing "Clear and Blue Army"? David Moyes of "Clear and Blue Army," mate. On Saturday.
Well, if loads of them were singing them, they must have been whispering it because I didn't hear it. I don't know. It certainly weren't being sung around where I was in the stadium, put it that way. But maybe some are, mate. That's what I'm saying. So many people are still behind him. I just don't understand it. I can't understand where it's coming from. I don't see. I'd love somebody who is so backing him and behind him to actually come on here and have a chat about it, because I can't pick one positive thing out about West Ham United at the moment.
Do you think it's more for him though, Frankie? Like, 'cause I agree with you. Don't get me wrong. And you know me, I do the spaces, and I do speak to quite a lot of people, and with loads of different opinions and loads of different personalities. But do you think it's more because of what he's done? Yeah, how he's stayed with us, and let's be honest, it's the first time I've ever seen West Ham spend over 100 million in a transfer market. Like, everything's new for these fans. Like, for these lower, from say 16 to 24, that fan base is very, well, we've got to back Moyes because look what he's done. He's been amazing. He's got us to Europe. He's this, and the older fans like myself would say, well, hold on a minute, we're dropping like a stone. We can all see it, but you're more sentimental to the manager than you are to the club.
Yeah. And that I find incredibly odd, mate. Like I said at the beginning of this video, we'll be here long after Moyes is gone. The fans will be here long after GSB have sold up and gone. We're here for a lifetime, mate. These people are always on borrowed time, managers and whatever else. They're only here for a short period of time. And there seems to be people more bothered about David Moyes than West Ham United, which I find incredibly odd, mate. I'm only ever for what's best for West Ham. And understand one thing. If Moyes could turn this around, I think a lot of us have just been looking for some evidence that he can turn it around. Just show us something different. Show us that you're switching things up. Show us that you're trying something else. Show us that you've got a plan for how you're going to turn this around. And I can't see a single thing. And that's where you have to come to the point of, I am now Moyes out, because you're not showing me any evidence that you're going to turn this around. None. If he was, I think there'd be so many more of us that would still be fighting his calls and saying, look, he's done well for us in recent years. And, the last couple of years have been better seasons than West Ham typically have, and all of that sort of stuff. And that's all fine. I just think some people take it well too far. Some people make out he did a Leicester and went and won the Premier League. He got us to a semi-final. So what? That will all be forgotten about in a few years' time, mate. People don't remember you getting to a semi-final. That isn't success. That was a good run.
For me, it's the biggest chance that we wasted to get Champions League when you got Rangers and Eintracht.
Well, like I said to you, mate, every time he's had that final hurdle to get over to really actually create some success, like getting into the Champions League, blew it after being in such a good position. Like being in that semi-final, blew it. Like having to beat Brighton to get into the Europa League back-to-back seasons, blew it. Anytime he really has that big chance to really make something happen for us, he goes and blows it. So the problem for me is David Moyes. He isn't a winner. I don't think he inspires anybody. I think the team are flat. I think they're all fed up with the style of football. I think, people like Skamaka and Paqueta must go out onto that pitch and line up the way we do, and they must just think, what are we even doing out here, mate? Like, why are we on this pitch? We're better than this. And that's the risky thing, that we've brought in these players. We're going to end up having another situation where these top players are just going to go, you know what, I don't want to be here no more. And, they'll force a transfer. We'll have to sell them for a fraction of what we paid for them, and a load of money will be blown again. And it's just a nightmare. So I don't know. It's a strange one. This sentiment towards Moyes, I don't fully understand it. I get why you'd say, it's a shame that it hasn't quite gone the way we wanted it to. But again, we could all sort of see it coming, mate. There were some people who actually believed like this season was going to be a kick-on season, that we was just going to progress from last year. And we was going to go and really make something happen, like push into the top 6 and whatever. The rest of us sort of looked and went, that Southampton on Boxing Day was disastrous. Then the Leeds, not so long after that, was a terrible result at home. And there was just warning signs, left, right, and centre, proper warning signs that this was going to happen. And it's all started to transpire in front of us. I just don't see it turning around. You know, I'd love to be proven wrong again. Like I said to you, I only want what's best for West Ham. I would love it for Moyes to go and turn it all round, find some new coaching staff who gets us playing better football, who plays some more attacking football, gets the best out of Scamacca. We go and win the Europa Conference League, all the glory in the world, and Moyes is here for the next 10 years and brings the best times to West Ham. I'd love him to do it and prove me wrong. Absolutely,
I agree.
Love it. But I just don't think it's going to happen, mate.
I agree with everything you just said there. And I agree with that comment from Peter. This has been coming since pre-season.
Yeah, people are telling me, James, oh no, they're only getting fit, mate. I'm like, I can see it's shit, mate. It's not
like I see that at pre-season, and I was doing the spaces in the summer, and people were saying, "Oh, you're negative. You're negative. You don't know what you're just a negative person." And this has been a build-up, really. Like when I look at it, the best way of summing this up, really, is ask yourself this: how many times this season have West Ham give a 7, 8 out of 10 performance? And I could probably name one game, like from me in the Premier League. That's Wolves at home. Other than that, the 3 other wins, Villa away, we was very, very lucky, very lucky. We set up in a negative way, Villa away, and Fulham and Bournemouth. For me, we had a lot of help from the officials. Massively. Like Fulham, Dawson gets a penalty, Scamacca handballs it, Antonio handballs it, and all three of them things led to goals. And then obviously the Bournemouth one was where Kehrer handballed it, but we got the rub of the green. So for me, I just look at it like this, and I look at West Ham, and someone said it the other day to me on my channel. They turned around and said, I don't feel entertained anymore, James, watching West Ham. I pay my money to go and get entertained, and they're not entertaining me. And it is a major concern.
Mate,
really is.
Every other game of football you watch, it's like watching a different game. Like the game is played at such a faster pace, and the balls are zipped around. And like that Blackburn through ball the other night carved us open like you wouldn't believe. I've never seen us carve a team open like that for I can't even tell you how long. But you watch like last night, and you watch the Arsenal game, and you watch the Newcastle game. It's like a totally different game, mate. It's played with pace, and balls are zipped around, and it's just totally different to what I watch. I just watch us go. We haven't got anyone with pace in our side. So what you have to do is you have to move the ball quicker. You have to, but we just don't. We're sideways, backwards, and fans are getting really frustrated with it. There are people in the stands now are looking for us to play a quick ball, and someone will check back, or Cressy will be out wide, and we slow the game down, and people are screaming, just pass him the ball, just give him the ball quickly. Everything is just so mundane, so slow, so lethargic. It is just painful to watch, mate. And then you watch these other teams and just go, well, this is different gravy, mate. This is what football should be. And you watch us back. I watched, like I said, when we I can't remember what it was the other week. I watched the game with Dean Ashton against Man City in the Cup. Mate, we used to football's supposed to move on. Football's supposed to progress. We was playing far better football years ago, mate. This old-fashioned, boring, and the worst thing about it is that I've been watching it for however long. You're all thinking, I'm going to get a 6-week break, and we're going to go and watch the Moyes clone in a waistcoat go and do it for England. So I'm not even going to get a break from it through watching the World Cup either. But there you go.
Yeah, going back to 1 or 2 comments, we did say congratulations to the England cricket team who won the T20 World Cup early this morning. That's on the back of winning the 50 overs. So, don't know about the Football World Cup, but in cricket, we're certainly doing very, very well. Very funny comment, Victor. I like that one. Milk turns quicker than our football. You naughty boy. Right, final comments, gentlemen, for our mighty West Ham.
For me, change is needed now. I like Moyes. As I think what he's done very well at West Ham. But now is a time to change it over and go, you know what, enough's enough. He took us from like relegation, like he helped us stay in the league, right? But we have got to remember we had a global pandemic then, no fans, we had a delay. things went in our favour. We managed to stay up. So for me, I would like to see a change. Will I see a change? I don't think I will. I don't think there's no change until probably the Wolves game or Leeds game at the very max. I think he will come back. He will play Arsenal. I think we get rolled against Arsenal. I think the Brentford game could be the game where it sort of turns a little bit, and then the pressure will keep mounting up, and then eventually.
Brentford are well good, mate.
Yeah.
Forget that, mate.
And I just want to say, I always said about Ivan Toney and Rico Henry, and I watched them yesterday, and they was destroying down that left-hand side.
Man.
So, yeah, listen, change is needed at the end of the day. And for the sake of West Ham United and not David Moyes, we need a change. Simple as that.
Yeah, Frankie?
Yeah, no, I'm just there, mate. It's just, like I said, there's no signs that things are going to get any better. He's not changing anything. He's doing the same thing time and time and time again. If he continues to do the same thing time and time and time again, and we continue to get the same amount of points per games ratio that we've been getting, then we will be relegated at the end of the season. Because of that, he needs to go. It's as simple as that. It's the perfect time to do it. Am I surprised? I'm not surprised with dilly-dallying because we always do with it. But like I said, I think the board are going to want to see if Noble coming back in January makes a difference, whether there's a lift there and whether or not he can, maybe work with Moyes to try and improve how things are at the moment. I think if Noble wasn't coming back in January, they might have made a quicker decision about it. I don't know. But risky business, mate, at the moment. This season's very quickly turning into a bit of a disaster after a couple of good seasons. And I know Moyes was the reason why we had those couple of good seasons. But at the end of the day, mate, something just clicked. And we just had... I don't know. It was the coaching staff came together. We said we had Nevin and Irvine and Pearce and Nolan came in who brought a bit of a West Ham feel about things. And something just worked out. Unfortunately, that's unravelled now. And I just don't believe Moyes has got the character to turn it around. I just really don't. And I think we're in trouble, mate. So because of that, I would really, really like to see that change happen as quickly as possible. For a change, get it done early and try and turn this season around a little bit, mate. But for me, I just want to watch better football again, mate. I want a bit of excitement back. You get in your seat and you just slump down and you kick off and everyone's behind the ball and you're at home and you've got no possession and you're letting teams come onto you. You just sit there and you just go, oh, and then the whole stadium goes silent and it is painful, mate. It's painful. We spend a lot of money on following West Ham, a lot of money. I'm bored. My dad's bored. He's fed up of going. My son's bored. I'll still be there, mate, because I'm always there. I can't help myself. I love West Ham and always will do. So, it's what I do on mostly a Sunday afternoon now rather than a Saturday because of whatever else. But it's it's painful, mate, and enough's enough. We need to, we've got to freshen things up, and sooner rather than later.
I think for me, I'm looking at the calendar year, December to December. We're probably one of the worst on recent form. The last 5, gentlemen, we are absolutely bottom of the table on form recently. It's gone on for far too long. I'm on record to saying I wanted him out after the Chelsea game, the way we controlled. And it's just the ambition, even back in, 1 or 2 occasions when we do take the lead, there's no motivation to go for the second. We sit back again. I've had enough of all of that. And Conference League should keep the conference performance and the league separate. They're nothing to do with each other, 2 completely different platforms. And yes, I worry in terms of there's no one coming through from the youth team. We've lost Perkins. We're going to lose Ashby. He's not managing the out-of-form players from last year like Souček, Bowen, Kufal. Johnson's career is going nowhere at West Ham. The new players who came in on the back of good seasons look completely average now. There's only one formation he likes. He doesn't change it. He's not managing Benrahma in the right way. I don't think he's mentally happy with each other, and that's not good for any player. How can you start a game when you're thinking, I'm going to go off after 60 minutes? It's not good. It's a mental block for a lot of people. And, he scored and he got taken off, and that was outrageous and that kind of thing. What it is, we have gone down under this board once, I think, with Avram Grant, I think it was. So, but I don't know if they think we won't go down. It hasn't hit home because I think Moyes helped them, especially last couple of times. But I think they're leaving it very, very late, especially if they waste all of this month for the World Cup and then give him money or give him the window and then get rid of someone in Feb. I think that's leaving it very, very late and expecting someone to just come in and, you know, don't be surprised if Big Sam, whatever, comes in, things like that. For me, it's a shame. People have spent money on the season ticket. We are writing off the league. It's a shame. We just got the FA Cup draw to look forward to in the conference. Last 16, League Cup's gone. Top 10 for me is dwindling every day. We're 5 points off the top 10. It's too late for me, and it's just, yeah, you two have actually hit home with me. That is a very worrying situation, really, definitely. But thank you, gentlemen, for your time and everyone in the chat. And it is a shame that we don't talk about the game as much or the man of the match. We're talking about off the field things, but it's just what we are going through at the moment as West Ham United. But yeah, hope you gentlemen have a lovely Sunday evening, and hope next week is very good for everyone. Yeah, take care.
See you later,
Take care,
mate.
man.
Thanks, gang.
Bye.
Thank you, Frankie.
Take care, man.
Take care, mate.